Ready?
Ready for what?
Well, hello there. Welcome to Firehouse Stories. My name is Bob, and this is Doug, and today we have a real special treat to, through Doug's and my career, we were on the same squad for, 18 years or something like that.
Yeah,
Went through a lot of chiefs, and I think our favorite one was Lloyd here. Can I use your first name, Lloyd? No?
Yeah.
Okay. was Lloyd. He was not only our chief, he was also one of our canoe people, our canoers that came out. We had the fire station canoe club, and Lloyd must have.
It's your fault, though.
It was my fault, yeah. We all went out wilderness canoeing or going to Algonquin Park or whatever, so Lloyd was one of them. And I think this session we're going to start talking about the trip. And the one thing I wanted to talk about was, we started arranging for this trip. It was going to be a spring trip as the ice was coming off, so the water was high and the rapids were decent. And we ended up, planning it in February. So I said, the night before the trip, we had all the items and everything was ticked off. The night before I said, we were working, and I said, well, why don't we just all bring everything in and we'll take a look? Because, like once you're out there, you're out there. So everybody came in and, they had their list and it was all laid out. Everything looked really good. We're ready to go. We had the food, we had everything. But Lloyd said, oh shit, I forgot to bring my sleeping bag.
Oh, that's good. It's good.
He says, no, it's good. He says, it's really good. I says, it's going to be cold, Lloyd. Like we could be below freezing. It's good. It's going to be good. Okay. So, anyways, we get out there, and we end up going with a guy that was an outfitter, and he had his canoe, so I rented the canoes from him. But he came along because his wife was at a rapids camp, or at something somewhere else at the same area at the same time. So he came with us down this river, and he had a dog named Megan. And remember the first night he had left everything out, and a raccoon had gotten to Megan's dog food. And the first thing in the morning, Megan wanted out, so George let the dog out, and it ate the whole week's of food,
all the rest of the food
in one morning, right? Plus, I had a I don't know how we got this. It must have been that night or something like that. The next night. I'm really not sure of the timeline, but anyways, I baked a cake because it was Nancy's birthday, May the 4th, and I baked this cake, and we were gonna have a birthday cake, and we were gonna have it and sing happy birthday to her, all these guys, and she'd be really happy, and so would we, right?
Yeah.
And anyways, Megan ate that. So, me
put
telling
up high enough.
Me telling this outfitter, he's sort of asking questions about who's coming, and me telling him we had a crack crew. Dougie was on it, and Lloyd's coming on it, and Steve.
But what you're missing, Bob, you're missing about him not bringing his sleeping bag to work.
Well, yeah,
he never had a chance to check this out. And you got to remember, this is in the spring, and it's cool. The evenings are cool. The nights are really cold. And Lloyd's sleeping with Steve and I in one tent. And Lloyd gets his sleeping bag. His sleeping bag out. Well, his sleeping bag comes to here on him. It was a kid's, little boy's sleeping bag.
It had cowboys and Indians on
it.
And it was cold. But anyways, we put in the water, and the guide says, Megan, he brought his lab, and he said it was brand new, and he said, please don't try not to feed it a whole lot, because I take her on all my trips and I don't want her to be mooching. So he said, that's fine. And the first night we were standing beside a rapid, you throw a stick in it, Megan would just jump in the rapid, flow back, and it was a game.
Beautiful dog.
Yeah, beautiful dog. We did that. And he says, listen, guys, tonight don't do that, because she comes in the tent and she stinks. So the next night I see this other guy, we'll call him the shit disturber, slicing off our kielbasa, and every time this guy wasn't looking, he was feeding this dog a slice of kielbasa.
The dog was begging all the time.
So anyways, it was time to go to bed, and Nancy and I went into the one tent, and these three went into the other. But we always giggled in our tent because there seemed to be a whole orchestra of zippers going up and down and back and forth with their jackets coming off and their sleeping bags opening up and closing. So we would listen until that stopped, and then there'd be the giggling because apparently they had Lloyd go in the middle, right? You slept in the middle.
It was warm there.
Yeah, to get the
Warmer
heat,
between
to
Steve
get
and
the
I,
heat
yeah.
between the two.
Yeah.
But we take all our coats and clothes and everything and put them on top of Lloyd to keep him warm.
Yeah.
So you can't mention the other guy's name?
Yeah, I guess we could. His name was George.
No,
Well, I
Steve.
mean the other guy that was in the tent with me and Doug.
Oh, we probably could too. Yeah, but I still want to call him shit disturber because that's exactly what
Shit
he is.
disturber Steve.
Oh yeah, that was his middle name.
Yeah. So, anyways, everybody's closing their tent and they're all off, and everything's just settling in, and people are going to sleep, and all of a sudden you hear, "Oh, Megan! Zip, 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 zip. Get out of here!"
Yeah, you dirty dog.
Dog's farting in his tent all night, right?
Okay. Steve would giggle.
Yeah,
There was a little one-man tent. I remember that tent.
yeah. Well,
One man in a dog tent.
well, yeah. His tent was really small, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was.
The
He
little
had
red one, yeah.
Go in and out the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This river we started to run, we started it and there's no going back. Once you're on it and you're heading downstream, you're done. You're committed to the river.
Oh yeah.
And the one day we called it a day early, and this is the first day. And now this George guy does not know us. This guy.
He's an SAS, by the way.
Oh, he's a great big strapping guy.
Just like
Yeah,
Luke
yeah.
Picard. I always compared him to Commander Luke Picard of the Star Trek Enterprise.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got the hacky sack out because we used to play hacky sack at the fire hall on our downtime.
But my wife was there,
She was there.
but she was away.
She was away. Yeah, she wasn't walking. But the guys all got naked and started playing hacky sack.
Well, we all went in the river and had a bath.
And then George comes walking into the campsite and he goes, "Oh," and he looks around and he looks at, "Come on, George, join us." Oh, bloody hell, I don't think so. He just turned around and walked out. It's too funny.
4 guys playing naked hacky sack.
4 firefighters.
But there's one particular morning I want to let Lloyd talk about that, we still laugh about. That was when you got your hair cut and
Oh, jeez.
I had a lot of hair then. those days.
well, you did. Yeah. You weren't probably as good looking. But you ended up flapping. I know we were getting up. Nancy was just going out through the tent, and she looks over. And they had this tent over here, and the whole bottom of the tent was just shaking back and forth, and Lloyd was going and Doug was laughing.
You got to realize the tents we were in were really small tents, just because it's cold. So the body heats the tent up. Anyways, Lloyd was sleeping with his head at the door, and Steve and I were sleeping with our heads at the other end. Well, we got up to sneak out of the tent, and Steve zipped the zipper up and cut Lloyd's hair in the zipper. And so it was stuck in there. And Lloyd started shaking his head and shaking the whole tent. Steve and I are out there, we're just pissing ourselves laughing.
He just said his name.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, that's okay.
Yes, the shit disturber Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's Steve with his Cowboys and Indian, or Lloyd in his Cowboys and Indians sleeping bag with Doug's coat over his head, and he's shaking his head, going, "Doug,
Get me out of here.
get me out of here."
I don't remember the Cowboys and Indians. I remember it being too short.
Yeah.
We had Cowboys and Indians on. Cowboys on horses and the Indians.
Since then, I have to say, Lloyd took the full Monty, and gosh, you've had scores of canoe trips since then. haven't
Oh.
you? Yeah.
A lot of canoe trips.
But anyways, that was sort of our experience. We're here to tell you stories of the fire service and people behind the fire service, and I think that was probably as good a story of firefighters as you can get. As a matter of fact, this guy George, who's the outfitter, he took many groups out, and a lot of them into the Arctic throughout the summer. And every year in December, he had this big old house. He would have a party for everybody that he guided that could come.
Yeah.
And he'd have a TV in every room with a VCR, and he'd have tapes of videos of
the
your
trips.
trips, you know. So everybody's going from this one to that one, you know, and watching your own. But every place that we went, they said, "Oh, what trip were you on?" And I said, "Well, we're the firefighters." And they go, "You're the firefighters," and you could see them backing up.
We heard about you guys.
Yeah, we heard about you guys. So, but we sure did have fun. So anyways, we hope you liked today's story, and if you liked it, please press the like button. If you'd like us to come to your house every Friday when we post, just follow us, and we'll come to your house and your email automatically. Thank you so much, and goodbye, and be safe. See you next week.
Bye now.
Take care. I took Donna down that Petawawa.
Did you?
Yeah.
How did she like it?
She said, "I'm not doing any rapids." I said, "That's fine." So the first